It's still thinking. We did it. We're live. All right.
Yay.
Hey, we're so excited to be here. Welcome to Talk Tuesday. The name is still kind of floating, so don't expect that to be the name for good. But for today, that's what we're doing. I'm Cassie, and I'm going to introduce you to these beautiful ladies. But I wanted to just let you guys know what we're doing today first. We're here because we want to open a space where we can allow people to just have a good conversation about mental health, habits, and give you guys some tools and resources. Between the three of us, we've got a lot of experience, which you're going to find out here in just a second. But we are going to give you guys some pretty cool and fun things to talk about. But it might also get a little uncomfortable in here. So just know that this is a space that we're creating for people to hear kind of what our life experiences are. And between the three of us, our professional experience, just some things that we can share with you guys. So on that note, I want to share this is Sarah Placencia and Genevieve. I'm not sure Travis, right?
Yeah, you got
Okay.
it. You got
I had
it.
to make sure
Yes.
because I wasn't sure. And
Yes.
we are all on social media, but I want to hand over the floor to these lovely ladies to introduce themselves, and then I'll follow up at the end and let you guys know who I am.
Awesome. Well, Genevieve, if you want to go next.
I knew Sarah was going
Sure,
to say
sure,
Yeah.
sure. I'll go next.
it.
Um, I'm Genevieve Travis, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. And I generally work with kids and families, and I'm so excited to be here with these two lovely ladies and their wealth of experience, just to talk and offer you all just another perspective and a really safe place to come together and be in the gray, just live a little bit more in the gray. Um, where we can really explore things and we don't have to fall in a black and white or rigid sort of approach to it. Um, I think it is important, like, and we've talked about this, all three of us, that we make a disclaimer that this is not meant to substitute any medical or behavioral health treatment. It is really just a space where we hope to offer you some insights, some education, some opportunities for deeper thinking about things that often impact us as humans and impact our ability to function effectively in the world.
Yeah, that was well said.
It was.
Thanks.
I was like, Genevieve, you go next and say that.
I knew she was. Well, and I
Yeah.
was realizing I was like, I didn't even really introduce myself. I just threw it at you guys.
You know, it's all good. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
do you want to go now or does it matter?
I want you to go now.
Okay, all
I
right.
put Sarah on the spot.
Hi, my name is Sarah Placencia, and I'm so proud of you, Cassie. Most people say the last name a little bit off, and I was like,
I did it.
perfectly, thank you. Yeah, that was amazing.
Good. I'm so proud.
So my background is probably not as, I always say, not as professional, like in
No.
a sense, no, in a sense of like therapy and understanding this. So I'm kind of new to this, so I feel like I'm gonna kind of bring in kind of this a little
Mhm.
bit of fear, but also at the same time an understanding if you are new to this too. So that's kind of my background, and I feel like I kind of bring that newness.
Yes.
But my background is a little bit more in the health and fitness field. So I've been involved in fitness since 2008. I don't know when you watch this, so since 2008, I've been teaching classes, personal training, online coaching, and it's just been such a great journey. But I recognize the need for mental health and just understanding how to help someone get from point A to point B, and including myself too, with overcoming my own struggles. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But it's just been such a eye-opening experience to start to unravel the many layers that we all have.
Totally.
And I think it can be scary, but at the same time, so needed in order to move forward in any goal that we set. So I'm just excited to be here and learn from you ladies because I so admire both of you. So thank you for inviting me to this space. So thanks for having me. So Cassie.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here too. I just really we all actually kind of met each other. Sarah, I think you and Genevieve have known each other longer, but
Yeah.
I joined in like a book club. I mean, Sarah and I have been kind of knowing each other for years. Like we've been on Facebook and stuff. So I'm just so grateful to have met both of you because our talks have been so good on our Saturday book club. We actually have a Saturday book club. So if you're interested in reading some deeper stuff, we've got a really deep book that we're talking about. And then Sarah, actually, you have a great space where people can join on Facebook and sit and listen to personal development. And then she shares her takeaways and we all kind of chat in the chat box. And so um, I'm so grateful to have someone to guide that part. I think Sarah has really great, consistent behaviors and habits. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. I'll introduce myself, but I want you guys to know we're going to talk about addiction and habits and kind of some tools that we can get away from addictions, but also some tools to create some good habits as well. So, you can have addictive behaviors all over the place. But before we go there, I'm Cassie Steele. I know you guys are on my page today, and we're going to be kind of rotating through, and there will be somewhere where you will be able to find us every Tuesday at my times, which I'm in Central. We're actually East Coast Central and Mountain Standard. So we've got 7:45, 6:45, and 5:45 a.m. Today we were doing some technological stuff, getting ourselves online, but from here on out, you can expect to see us here having these conversations about some fun thing for the next till whenever. It may turn into a podcast. I don't know. But I have a lot of hats that I wear. I think actually Sarah and I have a very similar background. I'm in health and wellness. I actually started like I think 2011 was when I started doing not beachbody, Zumba. I started teaching Zumba in 2011. Like crazy to think it's been that long that I've been dancing, but I'm a dance fitness instructor. My professional title is entrepreneur. I actually have a lot of different hats that I wear. I am an emotion code practitioner. I I like to call myself a spiritual healer. We talk about a lot of like different things, but really it's just about kind of connecting to yourself is what it's about. So there's not really a title for that. I also have like a whole coaching business that I run. I'm a mental fitness coach, is what I call myself, because it's really important to have mental fitness. So there's a lot of different hats that I wear, but that this fits right up my alley because I have had a lot of my own traumatic background. And so having gone through a lot of things in my life has led me to recovery. And so I think that that's really what we want to create this space for. Like Genevieve mentioned, the gray area is what we were originally going to call this podcast. It's the gray area where nobody wants to talk about it. It's really uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be. We want to normalize talking about mental health and talking about
Yes.
these things that are so important for people to have healthy mindsets, to have healthy emotional um, states of being. So, on that note, I want to kick off like, let's just kind of dive into addiction and habits. And I'm totally willing to like be the one to share something kind of vulnerable and start us off
Yeah.
if that's okay. So, I actually am going to be, let's see, it's January 1st. So in 3 months, I will be, I never, really thought that I would ever say those words. And I never really thought I had a problem. Like I really didn't see it as a problem until I started noticing my behaviors the next day. Like I was never someone who was drinking a lot at night. Like I wasn't getting drunk. I was just having enough to like numb my feelings. And I didn't know that that was a problem
Hmm.
until I did. And
Mhm.
so Genevieve and I actually were kind of talking about this on Saturday, and I am just so grateful that I had the tools that I had to be able, as a mental fitness coach, I was like, I don't think I really helped myself. I probably should try helping myself so that I could be a
Yeah.
healthier version, so I could help my clients, to help my family. But the biggest thing that I noticed about that journey was that as soon as I quit alcohol, I picked up sugar. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, now I gotta quit this sugar addiction. So it was like I just kept numbing these spaces that I was like,
Hmm.
I don't want to feel that. It's really uncomfortable to feel it.
Mhm.
And I was even in counseling. I am a strong believer in therapy. I really think it's a powerful tool, but it wasn't enough because I was only doing it like once, maybe a month or once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And like therapists, so here's the thing. Therapists are so busy right now that you can't
Hmm.
get in anywhere. But there's so
Hmm.
many. Like there's so many. And so this is also another reason I think that why it's so important what we're doing is getting people to know that it's okay to be in
Yeah.
counseling. It's okay to have therapy. It's okay when you need help. Like that's
Yeah.
part of the human experience.
Hmm.
So I just want to say like I was the person that was like, oh, if people know that I do counseling, they're gonna think something's wrong with me. And
Hmm. Yeah.
eventually I got to a point where I was like, I go to counseling every week and I love it. I was like, I get to talk about myself and talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
And, people are just kind of like uncomfortable with that, but it's
Mhm.
because no one talks about it. So that's why we're talking about
Hmm.
it today.
I think I mean, the way
So
I interpret it is like, it's such a badge of honor though. Like to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool when somebody talks about that. So I don't know. Not everybody thinks that, just so you know.
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Cool. Yeah, you're willing to open up, and thank you for sharing that. I don't know if
Yes.
I don't know if it cut off, but when you said it, but then you said I don't know if I'll ever say those words, and I didn't hear what you exactly said.
Yeah.
But then okay, you didn't hear that too, Genevieve. So
It did
but then
cut out.
I realized what you were talking about. So
Okay.
but
Just in
no.
case. I'm 2 years sober.
2 years.
In case.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Okay. It was like
Yeah.
5 seconds of cutting off and I was like, I need to ask her.
Yeah.
It wasn't my
I'm so
internet.
glad you
So,
did.
but wow, congratulations, lady. That's incredible. So
So this
encouraging.
is an interesting point though. So this is something that I actually have struggled with saying out loud.
Mhm.
So I
Ah,
really believe in the power of like things happening for a reason. So maybe there's
totally.
still some work to be done because
Yeah.
maybe saying it out loud.
Wow.
See,
Yeah.
I'm getting therapy right now while we're just doing.
I know. And that's the thing too. I was like, in case this happened to everyone. And I was like, but I'm glad I said it because Genevieve said,
Me
or
too.
did you not hear her say it also?
I didn't hear, but I knew
Wow.
what she was saying because we had talked on Saturday, but it did cut out when she said it. And I was like, oh, shoot. I
Yeah.
didn't hear those
Interesting.
words.
No,
So
I just heard you say I thought I'd never say those words, and I was like, wait, I didn't hear them either.
oh no.
But no, I'm so glad that you reiterated it. And
Yeah.
2 years, I did not hear the 2 year part. So
Yeah.
congratulations,
So
that's
March
huge.
27th will be my 2 year
Wow.
date. And
Okay.
I never officially attended like Alcoholics Anonymous. I never said that I was an alcoholic. I
Mhm.
really feel like what for me, it's not alcohol, it's not sugar, it's whatever's in front of me. Like
Yeah.
I know that I'm an addictive person and I know that that's I think another really important topic to talk about because people think like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic, oh, I don't have a problem. But
Mhm.
sometimes the problem just moves from place to place to place. And I
Mhm.
Totally.
didn't notice it until I stopped doing things and I was like, man, I just can't stop being addicted to things. Like
Yeah.
I just every time I move to something new. And so then I was like, okay, it's time for really healing and really getting myself the
Yeah.
help that I need. And so I actually started attending 12 step for codependent because
Mhm.
codependency is I mean, I think everybody has a
Mhm.
version of it, but that's like a whole nother topic of like
Yeah.
connection and relationships. And codependence is basically it's kind of avoiding the easy way that I explain it. And Genevieve probably has like more clinical ways of saying it. I see it as it's a way that you avoid taking care of yourself. You start taking care of other people or focusing on other people's problems so
Mhm.
that you don't have to look at your own. Is that pretty like I mean that's probably not that there's a
Yeah.
wider variety, but
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense, though.
I feel like it's not my turn to share
Yeah.
anymore. Okay, I'm
Okay.
just I'm
Oh
comfortable.
no,
No,
no, you're fine. Yeah, no, it kind of. Well, and I'll go ahead because I put Genevieve on the spot last time, so I'll step up and be brave.
Okay. Okay.
But what you said really hit home because you then talked about like the sugar, and I feel like I started off like that way, and then after talking with Genevieve before about this, kids with ADHD, like we don't get enough dopamine released, and I say we, I mean I have never been diagnosed, but people that meet me definitely say, oh, you have ADHD. I was like, probably. But I realized, like, oh, wow. So I'm always looking for that dopamine fix. And I think a lot of us are. And I think it's, at least for me, it started off with sugar. And I shared this with somebody and everyone's like mouth dropped. And I was like, I don't do it anymore. Like, relax. But I used to, chew gum and I would take a bowl of sugar and roll it in it. And I would chew gum all day long and have a bowl of sugar
Right.
with me, like at all times. That I would just like have sugar. And it was so like that's just how I was like as a kid. I just always felt like I needed some type of sugar. And we didn't even have a lot of sugar growing up, so it was a bowl of sugar. Like so that's what we had, you know. And even like, you know, cereal, it was always like, you know, there would be a mound of sugar at the bottom of my cereal bowl, like, you know, and I'd drink sugary milk. Oh my gosh. But then I realized like into my 20s, it then turned into exercise addiction. And so I had a really unhealthy habit of, you know, overtraining. And then that also morphed into having just not a good relationship with food. I was binge eating and eating. And so I would use a scale every day, multiple times a day to like try to stay within a certain number. And when, you know, if I went over, I would just like starve myself and work out. And then if I was at that number, I would binge. And so it was like a decade long of this struggle. And so in 2009, when we moved to our second apartment, we lived in one apartment for 1 year. And I told Eddie, I was like, can we not bring the scale? Like, can we throw it away? And he's like, what do you mean? And so I did. I opened up and told him, I was like, I have a really unhealthy relationship with the scale. And so makes me want to cry just thinking about it. But this is the hard part, guys. No, I'm being vulnerable. And I'm like, my body's like, are you sure you want to do this? And so, no, I can do it. And so, yeah, it's just been such a turn of events. And probably like, 2000, you know, from what was it? I graduated high school in 2002. So probably close to a decade of that struggle and not having the scale. And now, probably 3 years ago, I think we got a scale again. And I'm like, I have a good relationship with it. But so it was from 2009 to 2020. Yeah, that I didn't have a scale in my house. And not that was the struggle then, but it was the first, you know, from my 20 to 30 time frame of my age, really binge emotionally struggling with food and overtraining. And then this past decade has been a lot of healing, you know. And I just feel like I'm so grateful to like take out those things in my life that I became addicted to it. But it's like, I think just, you know, in order to grow and learn and heal, it's like you have to admit it, you know. You have to be open to sharing it with somebody that you know, love, and trust. And that way you're able to kind of like confront it and just say, oh, this is a struggle. And you can catch it before it becomes, you know, something bigger than you want to bury. Like as soon as you want to bury it and not talk about it, like I feel like that's the part that we should start to recognize it as an addiction, because it can definitely be that way. So anyway, that's of my story. So
and I just want to say thank you, Sarah, for being so brave. And I think that this is really the best part of who we all are together as a group, is that we feel so safe to share and to know that, yes, there could be thousands and even hundreds of thousands of people that see this. But if it's just one person, because they're sitting in the darkness, like what we're doing is we're calling, I like to call it calling our problems out into the light.
Yes.
Like once you light them up, they're not as scary anymore. You're like, oh, well, I guess that wasn't as bad. But in the moment, you're like, oh, this is so scary. So,
totally.
Like, I don't know. Yeah. No, well, thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for allowing a safe space. I think that's what's so needed. So thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're going to grow so much this year. 2020.
We sure are.
Yeah, a healing year.
It's going to be awesome.
It is.
Well, go ahead, Genevieve.
Well, you know, I'm just listening to you both talk. I think that one of the things that I think is really powerful about addiction is the sort of almost shame cycle or shame spiral we get in, and the secrecy of it, and the discomfort too. I think, you know, more and more it's okay to be like, I'm sober, or I choose to be a non-drinker, I choose to, you know, abstain from this, or I choose to, you know, balance my life in this way. You know, it's becoming more and more acceptable to say that societally, but society still hasn't made the shift to recognizing that there's a lot of bravery and like and true sort of strength in being able to admit that you have maladaptive coping strategies, because that's really, I think, a lot of what addiction is it's our body trying to reach homeostasis but in a maladaptive way. We're trying to find balance, but in a maladaptive way. And so I just think it's so powerful, to name it, and naming it, by naming it, I'm stealing from Dan Siegel. By naming it, we tame it. Like it loses its charge. And I think honestly, that's a big part of why we're here, is to talk about things, to normalize things, to make it okay to talk about things that are often societally swept under the rug or ignored, or put in a category of being shamed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really, really, really appreciative of both of your capacity to just show up with vulnerability and with that strength. Because as you said, Cassie, like our stories, like ultimately could reach, 1,000 or more people. And maybe one person gets really impacted or touched or moved. And that's super powerful. But I think also just normalizing. And so just to like talk a little bit about my addiction, I am 2 years and 3 months sober. I'll actually be 2 years, 3 months sober on January 4th. And for me, thank you guys, thanks. And for me, I think I'm a lot like Cassie. I have, I think, an addictive personality, and in part that's because I feel so much and so intensely. And I think Cassie does this too. I think this is probably true for Sarah as well. But I feel so intensely that there's like this need to tamp that down, to like sometimes I just need that to not be so prevalent. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to feel so much. And so I think that's where the danger of addiction came in for me, is like, this is a way to not, wasn't it that it was a way to not feel, it was a way to feel, to alter myself just enough that I wasn't in my head about, all of this very intense stuff that I was empathically absorbing throughout the day. And it also, for me, addiction like broke up the monotony, of life. Like I felt like, well, I could go through the daily grind, and then I could alter myself just enough to get through the evening and to bed, to roll over and start again. And that's, I think, the slippery slope is, I mean, there are many slippery slopes to addiction, but for me, like the slippery slope was the breaking up of the monotony of all of the things that I do, that I think my mindset at that time was that they were chores, and that it was hard. I need breakfast. I'll get you some breakfast as soon as I'm done with this talk. Okay, sweet pea. I love it.
Cute.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I got distracted. I hope I'm not rambling too much. I don't like. Not. Okay. So, and then I guess I will say one other thing. COVID happened. Mm-hmm. So I probably had a tenuous relationship with alcohol before COVID happened, but I wouldn't admit that to anybody until now. Like, I don't think it was bad. In the sense that like clinically it wouldn't have rose to the level of being significant, but it was a problem, obviously, because it spun out during COVID. I think that COVID was really, really difficult for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people needed to numb and alter their existence just to survive. And so I fell very prey to that. And, and then I'm just going to really name this. And this is hard for me, but I was having a lot of health issues, and we couldn't explain any of them. And I will tell you, within 3 months of quitting drinking, all of those health issues resolved. Like the alcohol was actually causing these health issues, but societally, nobody was saying, really saying to me, how much are you drinking? Like, could this be connected to alcohol? but I started to realize that. And so I started having a conversation with my doctor and my husband because I was really scared um, about this health stuff. And it just resolved. So for me, sobriety, like as scary as it was and as terrifying as it was, like a major weight has been lifted to not be tethered to alcohol in that way. Um, and it's just been like, I feel like sobriety is my superpower. Like if I had been sober in my 20s,
Oh my gosh.
what could I have done? Like look at Cassie, Sarah, like if we had not been plagued with our addictions in our 20s, where would we be now?
Right.
But that's that hindsight's 2020. And really I think that the other aspect, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, I'm talking a lot. The other
Okay.
aspect of it for me was
It's all good.
um when I had done a lot of work. I've been in counseling since I was a little kid, really. I've done a lot of work. And so when I got sober, I didn't do a AA or any of those things either, Cassie. I just quit. I didn't go to rehab. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I just quit.
Yeah.
I had some support from a doctor. I needed a little bit of medical detox. So I'm just going to admit that here too. So I had some support from a doctor, but as soon as I said, I'm not going to do this anymore, a major weight was lifted. And I
Mm.
just feel like I would never, ever want to have something hanging over me like that again.
Yeah, I think that that's really powerful what you just said about it's so two things. It's okay to have assistance from a doctor, but also know that the path doesn't always have to look the same as everyone else. Like I think that that's
Totally.
a very important thing that we're wanting to bring to light here today is that because I did the same thing. I just made a decision. And for me, it's really important in my coaching. Like when I tell people when they want to do stuff, you have to make the decision first that you are that person that can do that. And so
Yeah.
when I quit, I made that decision and I was so scared. I was like, what if I can't do it? Like,
Yeah.
what if I fail? And
Hmm.
I was like, no, I'm the person that can do this. I really wanted
Yes.
to believe that. At the time, I didn't think I was just saying the words, which is a really powerful tool. This isn't a tool that you can use. Is I'm a non-drinker. I'm the person who doesn't drink. Thank you. I'm the person who goes out and I drink water. And I'm the
Hmm.
person who, at the end of the day, I don't need a drink to relax because I've had a stressful day. I just go to bed because I need sleep or I do a meditation because that's what's going to get me back to that calm state.
Yeah.
And so also though, having the ability to have a doctor assist you with the detox and then also having the wherewithal to be like, okay, I might need more assistance. Like it's okay to have assistance and it's
Yeah.
also okay if you don't like that's really what we want to tell you guys today is it's okay not to be okay, right? We hear that a lot, but then I
Yes.
think people don't really live that. They say it's
Yeah.
okay, but then everybody behind closed doors is like, "Oh, did you hear? Like so and so is I can't believe she said that out loud." Like
Totally.
let's not talk about it and let's like, "Hey, what can we do to support you in your journey? What can we do to like even just talking about it?" And some people don't I didn't know I had a problem. I was like, "It's okay to come home and have wine every night." It's okay
Right.
to like detox, like to just unwind in this way. And so maybe you're the mom that's sitting there too and is like I'm telling you, when I became a mom, life became so much more stressful, taking
Totally.
care of everyone else and being responsible for everything. And I was like, this is too much. And after COVID, that was really where it went for me
Yeah.
too. I was like, okay,
Yes.
I don't have anything else to do but to have a drink and to watch TV
Totally.
and
Yeah.
scroll.
Totally.
So
Totally.
I picked up
Yep.
like several addictions through COVID. I was like, huh, what can I do while I'm at home by myself? Well, I mean, with my family,
Such a
but
Exactly.
like,
such a numbing
Exactly.
so
thing.
drink wine. I
Yes.
think too that
Oh.
it's societally okay to say, no, I'm gonna drink while I'm watching my kids or what, like I'm not saying, and this isn't a judgment
Yeah.
at all because I
No.
know
No,
that
no,
there
no.
are people who can have it, it's not a problem, but there are people who are using it as a way to escape.
Mhm.
Yes.
Once
Yeah.
I started looking at why I was escaping, I was like, okay, I felt like a weight was lifted too. It was like,
Yeah.
that weight came off my shoulders and I could breathe again. And I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can have like a normal
Yeah.
life. So I didn't feel normal. I didn't, I was like,
Yeah.
something's wrong with me. I don't, and I had a lot of
Yeah.
health problems too. Like, and I got off the alcohol and everything corrected itself. Like
Totally.
the
Yeah.
weight didn't necessarily fall off. Like everybody was like, oh, you
No.
lose so much weight. And I was like, probably not. But I
Yeah.
didn't. But then I figured out now like it jacks up your hormones. So I've been on a hormone
Totally.
journey, which can be another month of like
Yeah.
talking about everything. Like Sarah, I'm sure that you probably could attest to this too, but
Yes.
hormones
Mm-hmm.
are crazy and alcohol jacks them up. But
Absolutely.
the
Mm-hmm.
addiction part, like
Yeah.
I think what is really important to say, because I know we want to kind of wrap today up too,
Yeah.
because it's 7:30. We want to try and keep this short for you guys. We got on a little bit later than we normally would have, but addiction can be not so scary as long
Right.
as you're willing
Exactly.
to just like step into the light and say, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
think
Yeah.
I might have a problem, and
Yeah.
or even just to say, I
Yeah.
think I don't like this anymore. Like that was what it was for me.
Totally.
I don't like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I don't
Or
want to
even
do
like
this.
Yeah.
not liking who you are in that struggle. I think that's
Totally.
Yeah.
when
Exactly.
it's kind of
When
like,
you're,
why am I
hmm
turning to this?
hmm
Because usually it's a distraction of something
totally.
to numb too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know with COVID as well, it's like, I mean, I was having a White Claw every day and I was like, oh my gosh, like why do I need this in my house? So even for me, I'm like, I just don't have alcohol in my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, if I want to go out, I'm always the one to drive though. So if I'm with my girlfriend, so it's never an issue. But at that point, I realized like knowing my addictive personality with certain things, I think I was able to kind of catch it before it became something a little bit bigger. Because I also realized like, we mentioned like how terrible we feel. And I've struggled with fibroids like all my life, and I'm realizing and recognizing like, wow, when I drink, like it's the next day, and this is how I grow fibroids is basically if you drink
Totally.
alcohol. And so at least for me, I was like, oh wow, like I just really had to recognize, will this harm me or will this heal me? And I really do believe in an 80-20 mentality, because sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have this Dorito. I know it has MSG. Like, but it's not my 80%, it's my 20%, and I think just
Right.
just asking yourself and being more self-aware to like how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. I think it's
Yes.
such a good way to check in with yourself and make sure that you are your own health advocate and you are like stepping in to care for yourself, like Cassie had mentioned, like you're caring for everyone else, like it's time to focus on you, and that's not selfish. Like it's the best you
Exactly.
can do for not only yourself but those around you too. So
Yeah.
And I think
kind of want to
too,
touch on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, the part that you were just saying about having a Dorito, but you
Hmm.
also pay attention to like, alcohol, you could feel it the next day. Like that's the thing I think
Yeah.
that's most important. So one of the tools that we want to give you today is awareness. Like awareness is the first step
Yes.
towards healing.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have a path to recovery. Like I don't care who you are, everyone on this planet is working towards something. And
Yeah.
whether it's recovering from an addiction or whether it's recovering from, a horrible relationship behavior, like you can be addicted to having problems and creating problems in your relationships. Like there are so many levels of
Yeah.
habits and addiction. I
Yeah.
know that for me, I even had an addiction to having the same conversation with my son every single day. It was like, even when he wouldn't do things that I knew I always expected him to do, I was like, are you gonna, like I would lead into that and I didn't recognize it until I became aware of it. And I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'm like creating this problem. He's even when he's not doing it, he's doing, I'm doing it. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's different levels and different spaces you can have
Yeah.
addiction. And it's interesting to me like that people just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to look at it, but I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
at everything. Like this year is going to be all about being whole. That's really what I'm
Yes.
I'm saying is I want to be whole and I want to feel all the feelings, but I also want to be able to have the tools to just know that I can work through everything and it's
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think what I just wanted to add, I think one other thing that I think is really important is that this today is just an opportunity to do a little like to check in with yourself, to do a little inventory, to think about, are there any things in your life that you have sort of an unhealthy or maladaptive relationship to? And it could be substances, it could be a partner, it could be like whatever, it could be your child. It could come up in many ways, but is there is your are there any relationships that you have to things or people that are just not serving you, or where you employ maladaptive tactics? Because I know I'm going to get it for you. We're almost done. Sorry, he's like,
And
get
for
make me
mom, yeah,
breakfast now.
yeah.
Um, but I think that like, so an opportunity, just this is just an opportunity to just take a little stock, to do an inventory, or to even think about, um, like for future, maybe I'm just going to start to track now, like, you know, what is my relationship to this thing, and how do I make sure that I maintain it a healthy balance, an 80/20, a moderation, or whatever. Um, is this serving me? If so, how? And is the service that it like, is it serving me in a positive way, or is it serving me in a maladaptive way? Because I
Yeah.
really think that's really what it boils down to, is like, is this maladaptive? Is it
And
harming me in some way?
and also too, like I think that it's really good to notice that in this space, Sarah has an 80/20 rule. I'm probably more of a there are things that I can have 80/20, and then there are things that I'm like, nope, it's 100% I can't have it. And so
Can't.
it's
Yep.
really important to notice that everyone has a different journey, and it's okay. It's okay if
Yep.
someone wants to have the 80/20. It's okay if someone wants to do 50/50. You have to notice in yourself, like Genevieve is saying, is it maladaptive? And I'm just gonna say, because when you said that, I was like, I know like what it means. I'm sure in my brain if I thought about, but I'm like maladaptive is just like unhealthy, like
Yeah.
non-regular
Unhealthy.
coping skills.
And yeah,
Yeah.
unhealthy, it's harmful. I think of maladaptive as harm. Like,
Okay.
and I think a lot of the work that we're doing, is harm reduction or harm negation.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good
So
distinction.
maladapt like, is this hurting me or helping me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was taking it to mean. I will be the girl that will ask the question that I'm sure like no one else would ask, but I'm going to ask it because I'm sure there are five other people who are scared to ask it,
Totally.
but they're just going to be like, "What does that mean? I don't know
Totally.
what that means." Um,
Totally.
and it doesn't make you any less than if you ask questions. So please, in the chat,
No.
I didn't even think
No.
about the chat on YouTube. If you are in the chat and you're watching this live, we will make sure that next time we'll watch the chat because I didn't think about it. We just got into our talk. And if
Yeah.
you want to ask questions or if you want to know more about each of us, we can drop our links to our different social media platforms and you guys can follow us. And I know Sarah has like a lot of fun stuff on her social media. I have a lot of fun stuff on mine. And Genevieve, I think that you're getting to that place where you're like, okay, I could probably come out and do some social media. But
Yeah.
I so appreciate this space and this time for you guys. And I'm looking forward to every Tuesday at
Me too.
5:45, 6:45, and 7:45. So there is no excuse. Like whatever time zone you're in, you can get up and hang out with us. We're a lot of fun.
Totally. Totally. And we'll also have it recorded. So if you want to come back and
Yes.
Mhm.
look
Yeah.
at it later, it's there later.
Yeah. So if you want to watch the replay, you can always message one of us if you know us. If not, if you're on YouTube, just drop in the comments.
Mhm.
Replay. I watch the replay. Or if you have someone who like doesn't get on YouTube, because like I have people like that in my life that are like, I don't watch YouTube, which is fine. But
Yeah.
we'll get you the copy if you want to come into one of our groups. We have some groups where it's private and you'll be able to watch all of these. You can just go through and pick whatever you want to watch. But I think it would be fun to share one tool that each of us uses to leave
Yeah.
with, leave the group with to be able to adapt, to have good, healthy, adaptive skills.
Yeah.
I like the word adapt because it's really what it's about. Like you go into a situation, you're like, okay, how can I have a better, healthier relationship with my
Totally.
environment?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, um,
Yes.
I think for me, what I want to say is that my number one tool is journaling. Like, I know my clients will tell me, like, if you're going to tell me to write again, I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
really, it's probably one of the easiest way that you can just in the moment. Like,
Mhm.
I was showing one of my clients the other day that I will write chicken scratch if I don't want anybody to read it. Like I literally will scribble. It's called expressive writing. I actually learned it from this gentleman. His name's James Pennebaker. And it's basically like a form of therapy.
Mm.
And you can just like in my head, there's all kinds of words that are happening. But if I don't want anyone to know what those words are, I will literally like scribble. Like I got angry the other day. I was like, oh man. Ooh, I was just fired up. And I was like, I don't ever want anyone to hear these words out loud or see them ever because they were hurtful things. And I was like, this should not be in my head. And
Yeah.
so I wrote, and then I was like, okay, I felt much better. And
Mhm.
it sounds crazy when you first like hear it, you're like, you're gonna scribble while you write. But the other thing too is he says you can write like words, frustrated, angry, just emotions that are coming up for you.
Yeah.
Just call them out and like get them out of your brain because otherwise all they do is they just like sit in there. I
Yeah.
imagine they sit at a table and they're like
Mhm.
all arguing and having a fun time, like making me feel crazy. And it's not my counselor says, let's not use the word crazy. Let's maybe use imbalance. So when I say crazy, though, it's like a term of endearment for me. I think it's a great word because
Totally.
to me, I feel like it's a positive thing, but she's
Yeah.
really teaching me
Mhm.
imbalance.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and she's like, no, it's imbalance. No, but she's not really like that. It's just funny because she's like, let's maybe use some different language. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because I think like crazy fun,
yeah,
like I don't know,
exactly.
or
Yeah.
that expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, I'll kind of piggyback on that. I think journaling is definitely great. I think also, if you get to that point where you know what it is, you can call it by name, whatever that addiction or just harmful behavior, I think
Yes, exactly.
it's just something that you're struggling with. I think reaching out, that's, I can
Yeah.
point that point where I talked to Eddie about not having the scale, and even just saying like, different things that I'm like, I don't want to buy that anymore. I can't have it in my environment. And I even say like,
Yeah.
have your house suitable for your goals. And I think like
Yes.
same thing with me. And when I mentioned 80/20, I was like, well, Doritos is one of those things I can't have in my house. I mean, if I do,
Yes.
the whole bag is gone. So I'll every now and then, like once a month, I'll get like the smaller bag, and that's my go-to. And it says 4 servings, but I ate it all right there. And so, but I
Yes.
don't have a big bag, and I don't have multiple bags. So
Yeah.
I think just well, that's two things. But setting up your environment
It's
suitable for
perfect.
Mhm.
and telling at least one other person what you want to be held a little
Yes.
more accountable to. I think that
Yes.
so mine was twofold. So
That's
yeah,
perfect.
No, that's perfect.
go
That's
ahead,
perfect.
go ahead, Genevieve. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah. No, I think that being able to having at least one person that you can say this out loud to and speak honestly with it about it, about the situation with, like if there's one person that you can talk to, I think that's really, really helpful. And hopefully you have more. Hopefully as you start to talk about it, you build a community. I
Mhm.
think the journaling is great. I think the expressive writing, that's such a cool concept. I love it. Um, and I think that you know I think I feel like for me, I incorporate all that, like um is setting up my environment to be conducive to my goals, making sure that I am able to express myself to somebody. Am I journaling or writing poetry? Because I'm a pretty verbal, literal, oral person. I think am I embracing a term I'm going to use, and we can get into this more. But am I embracing that there is a yin and a yang, that there is like this, that there's the gray, right? The gray area. Um, and how I do that is by using the dialectic, the fact that two seemingly disparate things or opposite things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
That I can be uncomfortable and anxious and want to do something maladaptive, and that I am going to choose to exercise or take a walk or journal or instead, like that both can be true. Like I can feel that, like I can feel like this this desire maybe to head down one path, and that path can exist and I can have that within me and I can choose to do something else,
I think
and so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that's probably the most important that you just called right there is that being able to know that these things aren't gonna fix this, not
Hmm.
necessarily right away, but it's probably still
Hmm.
gonna be existing. It's gonna exist
Yeah.
in, and you just have to find a new way to bring the two together.
And
Like,
hmm.
okay, because I think really what it's all about is not going down the spiral. Like, do not spiral
Exactly.
out and bring yourself back this way. So that
Hmm.
I think that that's probably a great place to end. I don't know about you guys because we've been on
Yes.
for about an hour now, and we're gonna get really good at this. Where we're gonna like come on, have our
Yeah.
talk. But we had a lot of wonderful things to say today, and so journaling, setting up your environment, knowing that it's okay to be anxious as well as making a healthy choice, like that it's not just going to fix
Yes.
you. You know, this is a work in progress. Like you're not going to, there's no such thing as being perfect. What was the other thing you said, Sarah? You said your environment
Being
and
able to name it, sharing it with
yeah,
somebody.
I'll just, yeah,
awareness.
share it with somebody. Yep.
Perfect. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to that, but I think we
Mm-mm.
gave such good tools, I think, to start with. And please drop in the comments and we will try to reply to all of those comments if you have questions or if you have thoughts. Or if you just want to share and you just feel like this is the only place you can share, know that this is a safe
Yeah.
place. And also, I just want to reiterate there is not non-tolerance for any negativity or bullying or harsh comments. They will be
Exactly.
deleted and removed. So
Yes.
I know Sarah will call you out. Like I've watched her on some of her social media. She's so funny. Like, oh, you want to say this? Let's all like we're gonna all gonna look at it. So if you don't want the whole world to like be looking at you and like that's really no. I mean, this really is a safe place for all. I know that there are going to be people who are going to have negative and judgmental comments, and it's okay too, because you need to find a space for you to come to your awareness of who you are and what you need as well. Like we all need this. So everyone is welcome, but know that any bullying or harsh comments, anything that's negative, any like
Yeah.
profanity will be removed. We want to keep this safe and loving and allow people to be who they need to be. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
Thanks, everybody. This was
Thank you
lovely.
guys.
This was a good start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
fun.
Thanks again, ladies.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll see you guys
Thanks.
later. Have a good week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.